Thank you for the introduction. Just a little technical check. Okay, hello to everyone who's watching live in the audience or online, like the most of us will do again afterwards. So I am the least spontaneous person ever to say so, but this is a kind of spontaneous beginning of this talk because someone over there in the audience that I was just talking to, or otherwise I was joking on him because I said that he could stand on this stage today, and that was not true. I'm sorry. But his reaction was very important because I'm talking about courage today, and there is no rule of courage. So his reaction could have been, yes, sure, we're doing this. Or his reaction could have been like it was kind of fear in his eyes and like, yeah, but you should do first. But none of them says anything about courage. So the topic for today will be breaking the rules of courage. And to start this, I want you to imagine me like this little girl over there. And as in every good therapy session, and I'd like you to imagine this little talk to be one, we're starting at childhood, obviously. What else? That's where all the shit begins. But my childhood was kind of full of courage. People, friends, family, and even strangers who obviously barely even knew me always said, "You are so brave. You have so much courage. I wish I had your courage." Or, for example, "I'm so proud of you and your courage." Or my favorite one, "You can be so proud of your courage." So they didn't even ask if I was proud. They just said, "You have to be proud." So the thing is, that was my attitude. So, very important picture. So that was my attitude of little Yanni. But the thing is, all these compliments, and as you can see, there's something coming, didn't make me happy. Not at all, not a single time. They made me sad and not feeling like the number one. So this is what kind of society wants us to react to compliments like "you're so brave and you have so much courage," but that was my truth, being sad. So the attitude of the previous picture, it was kind of gone, only when the camera is in front of me, like now. So they did not even make me sad. The truth is, and the whole truth, and the older I became, the braver I was, this was my real feeling. All these compliments felt like an insult. So normally you know something first and the feeling follows, at least that's what I think. For example, you know that someone is bad for you, you know that something is bad for you, but you just don't have the feeling connected to it yet, so you can change your habits. But this time there was an emotion first for me. The emotion was, this doesn't feel good, it feels like an insult, but it should feel good. But why? Why was that? And that's the first contrast. I have 3 contrasts following when talking about courage that I'd like to break through. And the first one is compliment or insult. And it took me 26 years to be able to experience a situation where that was the first time ever in my life where I could take this compliment of "you are so brave and you have so much courage" as it is, as it's meant to be, as a compliment. And the reason was this. What do I mean by this illustration? I mean that after 26 years and a long time of therapy, you mean it's kind of a commercial for therapy, do it. Everybody profits from it, so you don't have to be like broken in your head. So I was sitting there and telling a story, I don't even know what it was about, doesn't matter anyway. So the person in front of me said, "You have so much courage." And normally, as you know me now a bit, I should feel like the number one. And I did. I did for the first time ever. And I was asking myself, why is that? Why is this day the day that I can take this as a compliment? And that's the reason. The reason is I felt seen. The focus was on me and not on my courage. The reason was she saw my courage, but not only this, because this wasn't something new. Everyone before, all these friends and family and strangers, they have all seen my courage. But the reason was she had seen the reason of my courage. It was never a choice. All my life long, it was never a choice. It was just a consequence to my life circumstances. And so, what is it now? Is courage a compliment or is it an insult? The difference is you can take it as a compliment if it's an action, if you have the intention to have the courage. But for me, it was never the case. So for me, it was a reaction to my life and no choice. So it depends on the reason of your courage, how you feel like. And after every contrast, I do have one question. So as you know, I'm asking questions for a living, not only in the card game, also in real life. So the question I want you to ask yourself is, why are you brave? If you feel like your courage is an action, why are you brave? And the other one is, why do you want to be brave? If you more feel like it's a reaction to your life. And this talk is kind of following a timeline. So now we have the classic childhood thing, and we're getting to this one. The next thing is, so we're now in the middle of a process between my mind and my emotions. My emotions are, okay, seems like I can take courage as a compliment, but my mind still didn't understand it, even if I knew, okay, the reason is because I felt seen. But I was still following a kind of train of thought, I think. And that train of thought was, okay, I am the tough one. Yanni is tough. And that was the only time where I got positive feedback from others. Doesn't matter, friends, family. Anyway, so that was the only time I got positive feedback, when I was acting tough. And the next thing in this train of thought was, okay, I'm the tough one, that's when I get positive feedback, so obviously I'm searching for things which take courage. And I didn't think about it anymore. That was just the way I was living, and I was reacting to everything. So that was not only traveling to the other side of the world, having the best time of my life in New Zealand. Shout out New Zealand. But also, like, I was searching for friends and people and just a life in general that took courage. And also, obviously, I was but acting like a rocket, also in terms of business. I am self-employed and creative, and I think creatives are crazy, so they have to have courage. But anyway, I was building my own business and now selling this card game and stuff that Jan told you about. But the thing is, I was acting like a rocket, but didn't feel like one. So that was the truth. This battle between my mind that didn't understand anything and my emotions who said, okay, there is something behind all of this. And just last week, I think it was last week. Yes, it was last week. I had my first interview ever. I loved it. It should have taken just 1 hour, so I didn't want to leave, so it was 2 hours. But anyway, so the girl that interviewed me asked me one question, and that's the question that everybody ever asked me. So I hate this question, but it was kind of good anyway. So it led me to the following steps. So she was asking, why did you build this brand? That was the first question. And every time someone asked me this question, did you build this brand? Everyone got a different answer. So, but every one of them was true. Every single answer was true, but none of them was like the real truth behind all of it. So the real truth is this. And that's the second contrast, soft or tough. What is courage? Is courage being soft or is it being tough? For me, and that's the real answer behind why did you build this brand, it was a unbelievably desire to be soft. And now the light is getting off, maybe so. But so I built this brand because of this desire to be soft. I was used to being the tough one, so not this, but this, the battle behind. But being tough also meant that, and like I said, having no choice, and that's the reason for being tough, I kind of felt alone, and I thought that I have to do everything alone because it was never a choice and stuff. But the day, only a few days after this therapy session where I had this situation with first time ever taking it as a compliment, it took me another few days to realize that it was this whole thing about being tough that made me lose joy in life. So it was so draining to be the tough one that I was losing this joy. But I got my joy back. I got it back. So how did I do it? I'm going to explain later. The important thing is the joy to have courage. So if you see courage as an action, if you decide to be the brave one, and if you have the chance, kind of, you don't always have it, but if you try to see it as an action, you can see the joy behind the courage. And that's this kind of process that I'm in at the moment. And that's what I want you to remember. Being soft means open-hearted. And being tough often means being cold and closed and having no connection to anyone. So I prefer the soft version. You can be tough, but the soft kind of tough, maybe. The connected kind of tough. So the next question after the second contrast is, how much joy do you allow your courage? Because that's possible. You can have joy while being brave. And the other question is, how many people do you allow to join you? And how many people do you allow to join your courage? What do I mean by this? I mean, this is a bus, and it's a little story time again. So the story time is about a few weeks ago, I was sitting in a bus, and driving the bus is always like kind of my most creative time. I don't know why, but it's just the case. That's how it is. So I was driving by bus somewhere, I don't remember, and then a kind of weird flex moment happened. I was having my mask on and nearly cried in the bus with different people, and I had to get my shit together to not cry, but I had this moment. I was sitting there and being mind blown because I finally had the answer to the question behind what was the reason for my courage. It was not only this desire to be soft, it was a desire to connect. And so this desire to connect leads us to the third and last contrast. Is courage being alone, acting alone, or is it being together with someone else? So the situation in that bus was that I realized I did not only build this brand because of this desire to be soft, but I didn't want to do all this business stuff alone anymore. That's why I built a community. That's why this card game is like playing with others and connecting and opening up. That's what I understand when I'm talking about courage. And this is one very, 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 very important sentence for today. And it's doing things together is no lack of courage. For some of you who like you, it would be fine to stand alone on a stage and do this, and it wouldn't take you any courage. And for someone else, it would. But it doesn't matter if you want to do it alone or together. It's no lack of courage. Either way you choose. And there's one, is there any Harry Potter fan in the audience? Yes. So very important Harry Potter scene. And I think it's in one of the last movies. There's one scene where Harry Potter is standing on a bridge around Hogwarts, and in front of him there are his friends and other ones from Hogwarts. And they are about to fight against Voldemort. So, and Harry said, okay, you've done enough for me. I'm doing this alone. I have to do this alone. And the other ones, it only took like a few seconds, obviously, said, no, you don't have to do this alone. And there's one important thing when talking about courage in this scene, and that is it's not about help. The other ones, obviously they kind of wanted to help him and support him, but that's not what this scene is about. It's not about help, it's about joining him, because it's no lack of courage if they do this together. So we're already coming to a conclusion, and that is Person of the Year, you, because you now increased your courage, obviously, after listening to me. But no, let's get this all together. The first thing about contrast and the first contrast about courage is compliment or insult. It can be both. It depends on the reason of your courage. So ask yourself, what is it? Is it an action? Is it a reaction? Do I have the intention to have courage? But otherwise you can have no intention if you have no choice. Let that sink in. No choice, no intention. So try to see courage as an action and have the joy in it. And that's the second one, so soft or tough. I prefer the soft one, the open-hearted, the version that leads you to meet up with other people. And you can still be tough, but the soft kind. And the last one, alone or together, like I said, it's no lack of courage if you do it together. You can do it alone, and it also takes courage, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. And so to give you a little example at the end of this talk, if you'd asked me 1 year ago if it's fine for me if my mother and some friends and someone from my community, or even strangers, but let's talk about my mother and friends and family, if they can join this talk today or even only watch me, I'd find 1,000 ways to say no. I'd even learn a new language to say no in a different one. So, but the thing is, now I know all these things. I said yes today. I said yes. I sent them the link. I said, come over. And that's my bold move out of courage today. And it's an open-hearted one, a soft one. So the question I want to leave the stage with today, if you do it the Yanni way, you have to send an email to yourself. That's how I always do it. So if anyone ever sends me an email, it might take some days to reply because I'm busy answering my own mails that I send myself. So, but that's the way I do it. So that's the question. What's the bravest thing you can say about yourself? Not only today, but yeah, please ask yourself. Thank you.